All right.
All right.
Chris and Dwight.
It's just the two of us.
Yeah. Shane is at a retreat at Camp David.
Yeah.
He's sitting down with Gulen and they're just trying to work it all out.
It's good that we rescheduled to the listener. It's now Thursday night, the night of the 15th. We usually record on Friday, but we rescheduled tonight. And actually, Dwight, I think I told you that the Dark Star Orchestra concerts that had been sold out, they were this weekend and they were sold out, but they released more tickets today, so I was able to get some.
Oh yes,
so that's cool. So I'm going to that tomorrow.
There you go.
Going to that tomorrow night, and I got Del McCurry Sunday night.
Buddy,
it's exciting. It's exciting. They're in pods. It's like a 2-person. They're selling like 2-person, 4-person, and 6-person. Like, I guess in like socially distanced pods. So that'll be sort of.
It's a good way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good way to do it. Look, this is the innovation that we need, and we're lucky to have it.
We're lucky to have it, buddy. It's not cheap. Let me tell you.
Yeah. I, on the other hand, am so starved for music. I found a song that I liked this week, and I literally have listened to it on repeat today. I'm going to say conservatively 20 times.
What's the song?
Telepatia.
Okay.
By Kali Uchis.
Okay. I don't know it.
And she is I think, American/Colombian artist, if I'm not mistaken. She grew up partially in Colombia, but she was born in Virginia, something like that. Anyway, this song has a deadly stranglehold on me, and I may not make it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I think that I feel like capacities at concerts are going to be lowered like for a while still, and it's driven having a lower capacity has driven the ticket prices up so much. And I was kind of thinking today when I fucking shelled out the amount of money that I shelled out for a 2-person pod that I don't this is the prices are probably just never going to go back down.
Why would they?
Yeah.
Why would they?
Now that they can charge what they're charging for selling tickets to a show with limited capacity, even with once we get to the point where we're back up to a normal capacity, I don't think they're going to necessarily bring them back down now that they've realized they can charge that much.
This is like what Uber did when it came to New York and any other city for that matter. It's like they come in and the Uber X, the regular just call a cab, whatever sort of thing.
Yeah,
I did the time
for a while.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there you go. So it was cheaper than yellow cabs.
Yeah,
and then that was great. And then prices crept up a little bit. Then they came out with Uber Pool, which was you pick someone up along the way, right? The algorithm finds somebody that's also trying to hail a ride at the same kind of time that you are and the same kind of trajectory that you're going, and it's to lower the price. But now, in the meantime, Uber X had gone back up to the same price as a yellow cab.
Yeah.
Now, Uber X is just expensive.
Yeah.
And Uber Pool is the same price as what Uber X used to be post price increase. It's just a fucking scam. It's like the same thing that we talked about on the Jeff Bezos episode with Amazon and the diapers, right? It's like that Paris Marx was explaining to us that they cornered the market on diapers. They drove diapers.com down or whatever and beat them into submission, bought them, and then jacked the prices of prices of diapers back up. It's
I'll tell you as well. I'm someone who I was working as a cab driver when Uber first. I was in Virginia at the time, and Uber had already been out for several years. But Uber came to Virginia late, or Virginia, I guess, allowed them to operate within the state later than many other places. I think it was, I guess it would have been 2013 or 2014, and I was working in Richmond, Virginia, as a cab driver at the time. And then when Uber came to town, pretty much immediately, our share of the business went into the fucking toilet. And then so I started driving for Uber, and not only was the amount that I would make off the fare reduced, but also Uber at the time at least was encouraging their customers not to tip. That was explicitly, they were saying you don't have to tip.
Right,
it's included,
right.
The payment for the driver is included in your fare, because they're trying to undercut all the cab companies, right? By telling people that they don't have to tip. They actually didn't even have an option at the time in the Uber app to tip your driver on your card. If you wanted to give them a tip, it would have to be cash. They didn't even give you the option to do it. So as someone who was working as a cab driver at the time that hit our state, it was just my, the amount of money I would make in an average week just fucking just straight down.
How fucked is that?
It's fucked, but I'll tell you. Here's what I
and they still don't. They're still not profitable.
No, I know. Here's what I did though is I would hang out at the airport because the airport is pretty far outside of town in your average city, and so like some of your bigger fairs,
it's got to be 2 hours away from the city. That's how it works.
Right.
In America.
Some of your larger fairs are going to be from the airport, and so like what I would do is I would pick them up at the airport in my Uber, and then I'd be like, all right, I'm going to give you my personal number if you need a ride back. I'll do it for less than Uber will charge, but I'll do it for cash.
Rules.
Yeah, so that's kind of
that rules.
That's kind of what I started doing, and so that definitely helped out. And most people were willing to do something like that, especially if it was someone I could tell I'm talking to them. They're in town for just a couple days. They're staying at a hotel or something. I'd be like, hey, look, I can give you the cheapest ride back. Take my number. Fuck Uber.
I love it, man. Listen, I got to tell you, man, I'm walking with a bit of a stone in my shoe here. Like I even ordered myself dinner and I just found that I could barely eat it. I don't know if you've seen the video of the kid.
I have, yeah. I already know where you're going. Awful. Yeah.
I'm like deeply unsettled. I wasn't having a great day as it was, before. I'll tell a story if I remember. I'll tell a little treat about what happened today. But I don't even. I'm gonna get banned on Twitter today, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm so viscerally upset, and I think it's important for us to just kind of digest it a little bit and discuss it because this is some shit. For those that aren't familiar, what we're talking about, a 13-year-old child was murdered by police in Chicago 2 weeks ago, and they released the body cam footage today.
Right.
Chris, with your permission, I'm just going to read here quickly from an article to kind of explain what's going on here. NPR came out with this article a few hours ago saying Chicago releases video showing fatal police shooting of a 13-year-old Adam Toledo. And I'll just read here just for your background what happened. I'm sure you're familiar with it if you're listening. I hope you are. But content warning, I should mention now. Skip forward five minutes or so if you find this disturbing, which it is, and it should fucking disturb you. Chicago has released video footage showing the fatal police shooting of Adam Toledo more than 2 weeks after the 13-year-old was killed during a foot chase in the Little Village neighborhood. A graphic and disturbing video captures what police have described as an alleyway confrontation between Toledo and an officer identified as Eric Stillman in the early morning of March 29th. In the footage recorded from the shooting officer's body-worn camera, the officer appears behind the wheel of a squad car, responding to a call of shots fired, whatever that means.
Right.
But it does mean something.
Well, it means for one thing. So I mean, it wasn't a 911 call either. I believe it was from the shot spotter. The technology that they put in generally predominantly black parts of town where I was reading. I've read a little bit about the shot spotter before, but I was reading more into it today, and at least apparently 75% of the gunshot alerts that they get are false alarms, right? But generally they deploy the police anyway. But a lot of times the police are fucking arriving to a situation where it may have been someone's fucking car backfiring, and they're still fucking running out of their cars, guns drawn.
Yes. I mean, it doesn't work in the sense of it identifying gunshots, but that's not, of course, what its purpose is. And I'm even looking at it here, and I'm super familiar with them because there's several in my neighborhood. And basically what it is it's an array of 5 or 6 microphones. Yeah. And basically what the software does is it listens to a sound that has hit one microphone and then detects the amount of time it takes to hit the other microphone, and then that can give you an idea of the direction that it came in, the speed that it was that the sound was traveling, and all that stuff. And I'm even looking at a fucking picture of it on Wikipedia where it says being used by British forces in Afghanistan.
I saw that one. I saw that same picture with that same caption.
Sick.
Yeah.
So basically the point of it is that it's it gets a cop to a neighborhood with a heightened state of, alert and aggression and jumpiness. So
right. But like also like I mean, I don't think that like obviously that surveillance or like cameras in in a neighborhood are like particularly effective for police enforcement or whatever either. But like in a lot of areas, like they put up, like if you're gonna fucking put up the fucking sensor, at least put up a camera. Like in a lot of areas, they only have the sensor and they don't have any kind of camera that they can like use to determine some of the context of the situation, like whether it was really a gunshot or not. I mean, I don't think cameras are something they need to have up in fucking, in public places, the streets or anything either for law enforcement. But if you're going to have the sensor, I mean, we can at least have the camera as well, I suppose.
Yeah, they're certainly not fucking shy about surveilling us. So.
Right. They got to do it on a budget, man. They spend the rest of their budget on fucking, military body armor and, armored personnel vehicles.
I was just pulling over here, texting with my girlfriend before I went home to my family. About 1 minute and 44 seconds in, the officer pulls over, jumps out of the vehicle, and starts running after someone. Seconds later, he appears to slam into a person walking in the alley, but continues his pursuit. 1 minute and 59 seconds in, the officer's audio comes on, and he can be heard yelling, "Police, stop right fucking now." The boy, who is standing near a wooden fence, appears to stop. At 2 minutes and 3 seconds, the officer commands, "Hands, show me your fucking hands." Toledo, the child, starts to turn to face the other officer with both of his hands up. A second later, the officer says, "Drop it," and appears to quickly fire a single gunshot. The blast rings out at 2 minutes and 5 seconds, 20 seconds after the officer began the foot pursuit. By 2 minutes and 6 seconds, Toledo's body crumples into the ground, though he appears to try to hold himself up. Shots fired, get an ambulance over here now. The officer is heard saying, look at me, you all right?" he asks the boy. The officer then stretches the child's legs out, and his body comes into full view. He is wearing a black Nike sweatshirt with the words "Just Do It," which are now covered in bright red blood, skinny jeans, and white sneakers. His face and his hands, which are near his shoulders, are also smeared in blood. I don't know that it's important to read the rest of it. I mean, just for the purposes of this show, and you're welcome to read this. I hope as more details come out, I'll go. Although, what else do you need to fucking know? I mean, look.
Well, an important detail is that what's shown in the video doesn't match at all with like the police officer's description of it, of like an armed confrontation, right? I mean, this is a child with his hands up.
This to me, and I've been thinking about this, all afternoon. This to me, it's like hunting. Like it just seems like it's in 20 seconds, a police officer finds an alley, jumps out of the car, and executes someone, a child, in 20 seconds. That's a hunt. And what was interesting though was this afternoon, Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot gave a press conference, and I'm just reading here from a journalist that was live tweeting it, a journalist in Chicago named Kelly Bauer. And I'm just going to read here what Lightfoot says, the mayor of Chicago, about this. This is just, I don't even know what to say. "It was excruciating to watch the video. There are several videos that kind of start at the beginning of the episode, but watching the body cam footage, which shows young Adam after he is shot, is extremely difficult. I think we need to do more listening to community members from Little Village and other neighborhoods from across the city. But our young people have been living with a lot of trauma for a long time." I don't know what listening, stop murdering me? I don't know what she wants to hear to have this be changed.
Yeah.
She says, "I don't want to get into the real substance of this because the independent investigation is going on, but I've seen no evidence whatsoever that Adam Toledo shot at the police." Again, the burden is always, it's a fucking child!
Yeah.
It said, and this is what's stunning. She then goes on to say, "When you see, and I urge you, if you watch it, watch all the footage, you're going to see that officer spring into action to try to revive Adam, to call for medical assistance.
God damn it.
I don't know anything. I don't even know anything. I know very little about him, but I've had experience of investigating a number of police-involved shootings in my earlier career, and I know that most officers go through their whole career and they never fire their weapon in the line of duty. I also know that every time it happens, it's extraordinarily traumatizing for them." Which side are you on? Like, it's just so clear. I mean, I don't. Even I'm sorry, she continues to say, we don't hear and talk a lot about police officers and their families. These are hard experiences for them. People have a range of emotions when they see these videos. That's understandable. We all have to ourselves in the shoes of everyone. This is a hard thing. It's complicated. Police-involved shootings always invoke a significant amount of emotion. As well they should. I hope that people express themselves peacefully.
Yeah.
A child was murdered by the state.
Well, it's this deference and this, like, honestly, like, reverence for the police that, like, even, you know, I mean, like, any politician has to have it. It's like it's essentially, it's like, it kind of, I feel like the Iraq War in a lot of ways was like this kind of big. Remember all the support our troops bumper stickers and the fucking the ribbons and all that sort of stuff, and like this sort of like modern like support our troops movement has, like, as the police have also become more and more militarized, is like just expanded to include them, right? To like the police are troops, and we have to. We got to cut them a break. But this like sort of this sort of reverence towards the police as this like sort of armed clique, this armed gang that is, among us and is above the law. And like, what do you do about that? You can't you can't reform that. Like, it has to be like reimagined from the ground up if it is to remain an institution at all.
Yes.
Yes. There's no fucking reason for every fucking beat cop to have a gun.
No,
it's absurd. I mean, it seems like, over and over again, in like most situations, all that does is escalate the situation and make it worse and increase the likelihood that someone's going to end up dead. There's no reason for every cop to fucking walk around with a gun.
No. And that's what I remembered, what I remember now, what I was going to say earlier, which is it's not just exactly to that point. It's not just the police officer that kills the child. It's the institution of policing that even allowed for that to happen.
Right.
Look at the apparatus of things that had to happen. A car, a gun, the shot stopper system.
The gunshot detector that happened to be in that neighborhood, which is, always, primarily poor neighborhoods that they put those in, right? And like you said, you end up with, a cop on the scene, gun drawn in a heightened state of aggression, not knowing the full story or not knowing the full context that he's fucking running into with his gun drawn.
Yes. And not only that, but it's like, the naysayers or like the liberal and conservative opposition would be like, well, were they complying? Were they doing the right thing?
Right.
Firstly, not only should a 13-year-old should not know what to do in those situations.
Right.
Right. But also he was doing everything right. Also, like, aren't cops, trained to just fucking spray bullets? Like, this was like the one shot to me was just it was so fucking executionary.
Yeah, I mean,
to me.
You're aiming at the chest, you're shooting to kill.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember what the adults' reaction was. I remember this so specifically in 2012 in December during the Sandy Hook massacre when children were executed. Now, there's a few different factors here that are different from that. One, it was one child. Two is this child was not white. And three is he was executed by the police and not by a civilian.
Right.
What I would like to fucking know is, are we going to see the same outrage for a child of color as we were for the Sandy Hook victims?
Well, of course not, because the police are involved. There's always, in any kind of police-involved shooting, they always get this like, you're supposed to, give them a sort of deference. You're supposed to sort of give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, the burden of proof is to show that it wasn't justified, right? Not the other way around, which is what it always should be if somebody's fucking murdered.
Yes. The difference between one person killing somebody, one person killing another person, in this case, is this person was wearing a badge and they're employed by the state to do this. I just, I feel sheepish thinking about and making a comparison like that. But the fact that we even need to discuss this and question it in that way, to me, just shows just how fucking deeply diseased this fucking place is. And I saw a quote today from Bree Newsom, which I just really, it's going to be ringing in my head for the next week, when she wrote, "White settler colonialism was a doomed project from its inception." And it's like, can this even be fucking reformed? And the more and more, like the like things are going so fucking badly.
Right.
Like I just don't see how any bit of reform. I think about like even just like the 2020 election to me on the Democratic primary side was like a referendum on whether or not the parties in control of our government are even interested in giving us a shred of social democracy. And their answer was very fucking clear. That answer was no.
Right. It's not even like even less than that. It's like there's not even a shred of any kind of, larger social product. It's like a social project, right? It's like this idea of this like bullshit rugged individualism that like the government doesn't owe you anything. The government doesn't owe you anything at all. Right, that's sort of like the overwhelming opinion of people in this country is that the government doesn't owe you anything at all, as far as like a larger social project that's going to work towards to your benefit. Right, the government doesn't owe you that at all.
I mean, there's so much that goes into that it's hard to even like interpolate. But my gut reaction, and I don't like that I feel this way, but my gut reaction is just to say we are all so fucking cucked.
That's my first reaction.
I know, and I feel bad because I try not to just like be too inelegant. Like I want to give some thought.
Yeah.
And, like,
oh no, that's my style. Inelegant and not a single forethought put into it. Yeah.
But like that, and I challenge, like I literally, there's like a fucking like the devil and the angel on my shoulders, like talking to me, be like, "Come on now, Dwight. That's not the. There's many more facets of this." You have to think of the decades of propaganda and the forces of, but then sometimes I'm just like, you fucking cucks, like grow the fuck up,
right?
Grow up and realize what the fuck is happening around you, because it's not just a matter of listening to a community. It's not just a matter of a better HR department. It's not just a matter of better access to healthcare or, a better way to buy care from a health insurance company that have actuaries that are working yearly to fuck you. Like, it's not just an isolated thing. It's the entire system of socioeconomic governance that needs to be upended.
Right.
And one's complacency with that or compartmentalization of those individual things that are fucking making your life goddamn miserable is the part that fucking that is the self-defeat before we even get to the conversation about, hey, what do we want our fucking society to look like? Or how many hours a week do I want to work? Or do I even want to work for somebody? Or do I want to be co-owner in a specific, a co-owner of the company in which I work? Do I want to have to commute an hour and a half? Do I want my child to be killed by police? Like, it's all part of the same apparatus.
Right.
And that's why it's just, it makes me so fucking angry, like that I shake, because you just want to like shake these people and be like, hello, do you not see what the fuck the goddamn war is out there?
Yeah. No, I mean, I've been pretty. Yeah, I mean, I was obviously very fucked up by the video that I watched earlier today of what we're referring to. But like I've been watching. I mean, like the Derek Chauvin trial is happening right now as well, and like police in a suburb of Minneapolis just murdered someone a couple of days ago.
Yes.
But like the thing is though, like to really think about it is that like this is the way the police have always operated, right? We're only just now being forced to reckon with it because now they have to wear body cameras, or like more importantly, now pretty much like every civilian has a cell phone camera, right? Like this is always the way they've operated, but they've been able to operate this way sort of in secrecy and in cover for each other, right? We're only now just being forced to reckon with it because it's so in our faces.
Exactly. And in fact, I just want to go back to that article about the child murder, because at the end it says something very interesting. It says here, and I'm skipping some brutal parts, but it says, the officer paces away, stands with his shadow looming in the frame, and another officer steps next to him.
Yeah, we have to humanize. I read the same.
Placing a hand on his shoulder.
God damn it. We have to humanize him. We have to consider his emotions as well, right? Yeah, I read this exact same article, actually. I got mad at that.
If I were, I mean,
I would think that murdering a child in the street would probably fuck you up. It should, right? But we don't, I don't think this guy gets the benefit of us fucking considering his feelings.
Oh, I'm considering a lot of things, but his feelings is not one of them.
Right.
I mean, if I'm just going to take a deep breath on the advice of my attorney against self-incrimination. I think we're just going to keep it cut. But it's just so, and that's the other thing that fucking drives me insane, which is like, it took Derek Chauvin 8 minutes to kill George Floyd. Right. And now a year has gone by and he's not prosecuted or in jail or redacted.
Right.
That's the fucking asymmetry. Like, you don't need to know anything else about the American justice system but that a cop can kill someone in 8 minutes, or in the case of this child, 20 seconds.
Right.
But it will take the justice system a year in order to even, get to a point of prosecution. It's so fucked up, dude. Is that just a particularly hard pull of the vape?
Oh, it was I was aggressively hitting the jewel. Yeah.
I could tell.
Well, because I'll tell you what I was thinking about, honestly, and it's that. So I was watching the Derek Chauvin trial. I've been watching actually quite a bit of it, and like I was very struck by the one of the witnesses who was an off-duty firefighter, and she happened to be like going to that store, and she was on the scene, and she was like, identifying herself to the police as a firefighter, as like a first responder, EMT or whatever, and like trying to offer, medical support to George Floyd, and they wouldn't let her interfere. And it's like, what that led me to think of was that there was a time when I was when I was living in San Francisco, there was somebody who was overdosing on heroin in this alley off of Market Street, and I knew him. I knew who he was. And my friends, some of our friends found me. I was across the street because they knew I carried Narcan. And so I ran over there and I ran down the alley. And by the time I got there, the police had already gotten there. And not only would they not let me administer Narcan to him, but they told me they would shoot me if I got one step closer to them. Right. And
Are you fucking shitting me?
No, I'm serious. And he died. He died as well.
Jesus Christ.
And so, I mean, that's the kind of impunity that the police operate with, and they make those kind of decisions every day. I mean, there's stories like this, people dying at the hand of, I don't even think you can call it police negligence. I think it was in that kind of situation, those police probably thought, like, this is one less homeless person that we have to deal with going forward, And they're allowed the impunity to make those kind of decisions with people's lives every day.
Yes. Of course, don't forget, in the case of the police murder of Daunte Wright, what did Joe Biden say? He was like, let's wait to see how the investigation plays out.
Right.
It's like, what the fuck do you need to know? The video is there. It's clear for everybody.
Right.
And anybody that says that we need to, allow for due process and for the investigation to play out, that's just upholding the system of the white supremacist police system.
Even Pat Robertson. Did you see that video of him? On the 700 Club, even Pat Robertson was criticizing that cop, and like I saw this video of him today, like on the 700 Club with a fucking handgun in one hand and a taser in the other hand, saying like, how could anybody possibly mix these up?
Also, I'm going to say, I think a lot of people are thinking like I was, that both the gun and the taser would be put on your dominant side, but it's not that way.
Yeah, but they have to cross where they have them different.
So you actually have to reach across yourself to
you
get
feel the difference.
It's definitely
there's just no comparison. As I say, they're not making tasers in this yellow color anymore. They're making in black. They're making them yellow. Now, how she made the difference was she shot that poor guy to death, saying, "This is what I thought. I thought was my taser." And if you can't tell the difference in the feel of those things, it's crazy.
So, I mean, it's funny that it took Pat Robertson going senile to actually have some good ideas and say some good things.
It took him until he's a senile nonagenarian to muzzle sweep the camera.
It's funny because probably like his family's like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't, he's just not all there anymore.
Oh my God! I'm looking at the clip now, and I don't know if this is his wife or his co-host or whatever, is just like handing him guns, and now he's just muzzle sweeping her.
yeah, he's like pointing it.
I guess it is a fake gun.
It really appears to be a real gun. I'm sure it wasn't loaded.
It's a fake gun. They've got
is it a fake gun?
A little rubber. I think it's a little rubber thing, but still. Anybody who's ever owned a firearm or spent time around firearms should know, like,
especially
you treat it as if it's loaded, no matter what,
right?
Because you don't want to break that practice, right? You just treat it, it's.
Well, and it's like, I mean, the thing, and like that's the thing that's so infuriating about the recent shooting in the suburbs of Minneapolis is that they expect us to believe, like, the official story is that this person confused their gun with their taser, and we're just supposed to believe that.
Unbelievable.
I mean, that's like impossible. That should be impossible. I mean, that, like you're especially someone who's been on the force, who's been a police officer for supposedly 26 years, like this person was, right? I mean, that's just yet another example of how you have to fucking just tear this whole thing down and reimagine it from the ground up. Because like either they're lying to cover for this person, right, or it's just inexcusable incompetence.
Yeah.
It's just one or the other.
That's the most
generous
interpretation.
The most generous, reading is inexcusable incompetence.
It's just so fucking crazy too, man. Like, this just happened last year.
Right.
Like, we've just went through this. And it should go to show that, like, anybody in your life that you hear saying, like, oh, are you just an ACAB? Or what does that mean? Or, we need to support the police, but they need more training. Fuck them.
Right.
That line of thinking needs to be immediately shut down. You need to show immediate revulsion to that. There should be a visceral, upset feeling that you feel when you see the police or think about the police. They are not here. They don't prevent crimes. In the case of anything, when it comes to, showing community outrage at this, they show up and escalate.
Right.
And they right. like in the case in fucking in Minnesota, where the mayor was just like, hey guys, don't use chemical munitions. And then like 15 minutes later, they're like, oops, we used chemical munitions. It's really astounding. I think I hope as this, as the days go on, I hope that there's fucking riots. I hope that's okay to say, but I hope that this shit gets fucking dealt with. Let's just say that. I'm trying to be as nice as possible here because I'm not feeling so great.
Yeah.
With your permission, I kind of wanted to talk about some of the things that I was thinking about this week.
Yeah, of course.
If I may. I mean,
by all means.
So what I had intended to at least talk about for a portion of this program today was something that I think we need to pay a little bit more attention to, which is the that this week is known as Black Maternal Health Week. For those of you that don't know, Black maternity is, let's just say, much more dangerous than white maternity. And that is to say, literally Black women that are pregnant, trying to conceive or carry and then subsequently give live birth. I'm reading here from a great website called blackmamasmatter.org. This is the Black Mamas Matter Alliance. And according to the CDC, approximately 700 women die each year in the United States as a result of pregnancy or delivery complications. I should say that it is the worst is the worst maternity mortality rate in the industrialized world in the United States. Even more alarming are the racial and ethnic disparities that exist in pregnancy-related deaths. Black women are most disproportionately affected with a mortality rate of 37 deaths per 100,000 live births compared to 14 deaths per 100,000 live births, and 11 live births per 100,000 live births for white and Hispanic women, respectively. So, in case you really just needed to look at the numbers to believe it, it's pretty stark that you're essentially 2.5 times more likely to die from childbirth as a Black woman than you are as compared to white and Hispanic counterparts.
Well, not only that, I mean, I was, I was aware of the disparities, in healthcare, the racial disparities in healthcare. But I tell you, I read that article you sent me about this, and I was very struck by the figure of like the likelihood of dying like in infancy in like under a doctor's care for like Black infants in the United States to white infants is like something like 2.3 times.
3 times,
3 times.
in fact.
Yeah.
I'd like to read from this now. I mean, real heads will remember, I believe I raised this in a Dwight's Bites, an early Dwight's Bites on the Patreon from in August when this article came out, August 2020. And I'll read it here because you need to understand how pervasive this goes. And, well, I'll just read it and then we can dissect it. But it says here, CNN Health, Black newborns more likely to die when looked after by white doctors. Black newborn babies in the United States are more likely to survive childbirth if they are cared for by black doctors, by 3 times more likely than white babies to die when looked after by white doctors. So you could also turn this around and look at it a different way. You could say that black doctors outperform their white counterparts by 3 times in keeping black children alive. The mortality rate of black newborns in hospital shrunk by between 39% and 58% when black physicians took charge of the birth, according to research which laid bare how shocking racial disparities in human health can affect even the first hours of a person's life. By contrast, the mortality rate for white babies was largely unaffected by the doctor's race. The findings support previous research, which has shown that while infant mortality rates have fallen in recent decades, black children remain significantly more likely to die early than their white counterparts. Now, this wasn't some small study. This was a study of 1.8 million births.
I was very struck by that sample size. Yeah,
and over a period of 13 years.
Yeah.
So this isn't just some fluke. This is real shit. When cared for by white physicians, black newborns were about 3 times more likely to die in the hospital than white newborns. Now, here's the thing, and I think about this a lot when let's just say skeptics look at this sort of stuff, and they look at issues of racial disparity in income, housing, education, test scores. They often point to the choices made by parents or the choices made by individuals. And, like conservative shitheads and fascist shitheads will be like, oh, well, these young black children just made the wrong choices and they need to make better choices. And this paternalistic voice comes out, which is completely unproductive, except for the fact that, if you're trying to obfuscate from the actual issues that are happening. Tell me, what are the wrong choices that these black newborns made that led to their death at the hands of white doctors? It's like the perfect example of how bullshit that entire argument is, because it has nothing to do with individual choice or life or anything like that. It literally has to do with the treatment of black people by a white system. Again, the sample size and the difference in the race of different doctors shows that there's nothing inherently bad about black newborns. There's something inherently bad about white doctors treating black newborns. Right. That's what's so fucking crazy, because the black doctors have no problem with the delivery. The doctors that are not black but are people of color don't have problems with the delivery of black children. It is only with the white doctors. Of course, your skeptical mind might start to think like, well, what does that really mean? I mean, are you saying that all these white doctors are just inherently racist? And yeah, kind of. I mean, you have to think about it like this. You don't have to go out of your way with malintent to affect somebody's life because of their race if you're a white person to be racist. You think that you got out of living in America without internalizing racism?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, not to mention just within your own personal actions, but within the entire structure of something as significant as our healthcare.
Well, there was another, I'm actually looking it up right now because I was trying to find the exact figure, but there was another, in this same kind of idea, there was another article I'd read one time about how much less likely a doctor is to provide pain medicine to a black patient than a white patient, right? Because this is sort of like, I guess, what conclusion can you draw from it other than that, the white doctors are more likely to have this sort of inherent bias towards a black patient, that there is some sort of danger in administering it to them, in that they're going to abuse it or sell it, right? Or something like that. Like, what other conclusion
Yes.
can you draw from such a stark disparity like that, right?
So I want to read from something here, which is an article from WUSA 9 to illustrate that point.
Right.
And it is titled, "We Deserve Better. Mother Pushes for Change After Near-Death Experience During Childbirth." It says here, every year women die during or after childbirth because of complications. For women of color, the situation is more dire. It says here, Ebony Ford, this is from a few days ago. This is from 4 days ago. It says, Ebony Ford barely survived giving birth to her daughter. During a routine 25-week checkup, she complained of swelling in her feet. A few days later, she was fighting for her life in the intensive care unit at the George Washington Hospital. My normal doctor wasn't there. It was a partner, and he was like, "Oh, it's fine, you're fine." But Ebony was not fine. A few days later, her feet were too swollen to fit in her shoes. Her vision became spotty, and when she arrived to the hospital, her blood pressure was, Jesus Christ, was 262 over 154. Doctors diagnosed her with preeclampsia, as well as other complications that put her at risk of bleeding out. I was in complete kidney and liver failure and would spend the next 25 hours in the ICU after delivering my baby through an emergency C-section. At 26 weeks, her daughter, Rain Victoria, was born weighing just 1 pound. Both Ebony and her daughter were lucky to be alive. To know how close my husband was to being a widower and single father all in one day humbles me to live life to the absolute fullest, said Ford. Unfortunately, Ebony's birth story is not unique. Women are still dying during childbirth all across the United States. According to data from the United Health Foundation, the maternal mortality rate in D.C. was 36 per 100,000 live births, compared to the national rate of 30. For Black women, the issue is direr. They are 3 times more likely to die during childbirth than their white peers. So, exactly to what you were saying, Chris, and this is the thing. This is the racism that comes out, is the doctor saying, "Oh, it's fine, you're fine," in the face of a patient presenting you with a complaint. Mm-hmm. That is the racist moment, is because we live in a society that values Black women's stoicism and toughness, and does not give them an opportunity to show that they're in fucking pain.
Right.
And it is, as you suggested, and there's many studies that show this, that doctors are much less likely to offer or to take a patient's pain seriously when it is being presented by a Black woman. And I'll put a bow on this by telling an extremely sad story from November of last year about a physician. Death of a Black mother. This is from NBC. Death of a Black mother after birth of first child highlights racial disparities in maternal mortality. Shanice Wallace, an Indianapolis physician, died due to preeclampsia complications 2 days after she welcomed her daughter, Charlotte. The death of a Black pediatrics doctor from postpartum complications after welcoming her first child is highlighting the racial disparities in maternal mortality rates. Dr. Shanice Wallace, 30 years old, died on October 22nd, just 2 days after she and her husband, Anthony Wallace Jr., welcomed their daughter, Charlotte. The baby was born 4 weeks early via C-section after doctors learned that Shanice had symptoms of preeclampsia, according to a GoFundMe page Anthony set up. Over the next 2 days after giving birth, Shanice underwent emergency surgery due to complications. 3 of the main challenges we encountered were a ruptured liver, high blood pressure, and kidneys were not fully functioning, he wrote. Shanice fought with every piece of strength, courage, and faith she had available. Preeclampsia is a blood pressure condition that usually begins after 20 weeks of pregnancy. It can sometimes develop without any symptoms, but signs of the condition include a rise of blood pressure, vision changes, severe headaches, signs of kidney and liver troubles, and upper abdominal pain. And it can be fatal if complications are left untreated. Black women develop preeclampsia at a rate that is 60% higher than that of white women, according to a 2017 report. I implore for those that are interested to look into these issues of Black maternity, as this is Black Maternal Health Week. I think, this goes, as we were saying in the beginning of this show, is that there is no one piece of societal change that needs to occur in order to solve this sort of a problem, right? This requires an upheaval of the way that we have our society structured, one in which that doesn't allow for, white doctors to not believe Black patients, I mean, she was a fucking pediatrician.
Right.
Like that's what's just so fucking sick about this.
Yeah, no, and I think it's important to point out as well that, while there is also this sort of, it seems clear, racial bias at work, there's also a class based bias as work as well. And I've kind of discussed some of this on the program before, and but just sort of like anecdotally. As someone who, experienced living in homelessness for a couple of years, I can, there was a very stark difference in the way I was treated when I needed medical attention as, like just a normal, regular person, and then as someone who was like very obviously living in, extreme poverty and like living on the streets, right? In that you are, no matter what is going on. And in fact, like I've mentioned on the show before, I had a situation that was going on where it took me, 3 trips to the hospital for someone to give a shit enough to, figure out that my life was in danger and to like give me the sort of medical attention that I needed without simply assuming that I was looking for pain medication or looking for a place to sleep inside for the night or something like that. Like there's this a very obvious sort of class-based bias going on as well.
The entire healthcare system. The fact that the fucking Democratic president is calling to keep a for-profit healthcare system that has these outcomes for poor people and people of color. And again, even in the case of like, that's what's so sick about it. It's like, of course, it's a class issue. But even for the fucking black mother, she was a fucking doctor.
Right. Yeah.
She was a fucking doctor. So the last thing I want to say about this before we move on is, how are black women taking action to combat this, to save their own lives when trying to give birth to children? And that is the concept of a doula. And I have an article here. I'll debating whether or not to read through it, but for those that don't know, a doula is basically a patient advocate, and they work with the mother before, during, and after birth to make sure that the patient's needs are being met. The doctors are taking care of the child, and the doula is taking care of the mother. And so I'm just going to read this here quickly. This is from ABC News, in fact, from this week as well, where it says, Black women turn to doulas as maternal mortality crisis deepens. It says here, Naomi, a 37-year-old black woman from Portland, Oregon, will have a doula by her side when she gives birth to her 7th child, bless her, a daughter, later this month. By using a doula, a trained professional who provides support to moms before, during, and after childbirth, Naomi is part of a growing trend of black women who see having a doula, particularly a black doula, as a potentially life-saving advocate during birth. So again, it continues to go through some of the same statistics that we've discussed already about how dire a situation it is for black maternity. But again, the fact that you as a black woman need to spend the money to have somebody else in the room just to give your fucking voice credit should tell us something.
Right.
Pretty stark. So for those that are interested in learning a little bit more about this, I recommend you again to take a look at the Black Mamas Matter website, and as well as the Black Parent Initiative that matches black women with black doulas in hopes of improving their odds during pregnancy and delivery. Again, this is something that we, especially those of us that are white, need to pay attention to, need to discuss, and need to take it upon ourselves to expose these issues, because it is not fair for the people that are the ones that are dealing with the shitty outcomes to be the only ones to advocate for better outcomes out of those pregnancies. So yeah, pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's
in Black Maternal Health Week, let alone that.
Yeah, it's a deeply sick society, and I'll tell you another thing I've been thinking of recently, especially the news about the the children at the border and stuff like that, like just how much the Biden administration has become an extension of the Trump administration and its policies, and really fundamentally. Nothing really changing, almost like just how much worse that is even, and how much more insidious that is, right, than even the Trump administration. Because like Republicans obviously don't care about any of this, or wouldn't believe it if you told it to them, right? So like, so it's like someone like Donald Trump is like, obviously awful, right? But like someone like Joe Biden, who is then, given the benefit of the doubt, especially like I mentioned it, I've mentioned I think last week on the program as well, about just how sickening it is, and how like anybody who is on Twitter will see people defending the Biden administration when it comes to the policy at the border under like any article about that, and right, and like just how much people are willing to just kind of shut their ears and not give a shit because a Democrat is in the White House, and that's good enough for them, right? And like it's just because we've gotten rid of the guy who's like obviously very bad. It's like all that matters, right? And all these sort of issues like what you're bringing up right now. I mean, it's just the kind of thing that doesn't get the kind of attention that it should, because the Democrats in the White House and people who were outraged by Donald Trump can now tune it out, right? But
that's the complacency,
right? Exactly.
That continues this, because like Stephen Miller, like there was literally somebody in the White House in Trump's ear whose agenda it was to do the fascist shit at the border,
right? Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, they have the ideology where they see that and they're like, yes, more of that, please.
And especially like that, and like Trump, like Biden gets a license to be particularly awful, even for a Democrat, because he has the benefit of coming right after, essentially an open fascist like the Trump administration, with people like Stephen Miller in the background, writing policy and stuff. Like Biden has got the easiest fucking go at the presidency of fucking anybody, just before coming after Donald Trump.
I think I wanted to. I showed you. I think I. Let me slow down.
Okay.
Just keep that. Keep that. I mean, fucking. In fact, put in the sound effect of the bongos going. The humanitarian crisis in St. Vincent with the volcano eruption. So I just thought that this was very interesting. For those that aren't familiar, there is a volcano that's erupting on the Caribbean island St. Vincent. Mm-hmm. It is a British overseas territory known as St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This volcano, which I will hesitate to pronounce because it is in French, and my French pronunciation is quite shit. La Soufrière? Let's try that on for one. But it has been erupting explosively since last week. And I'm just reading loosely here from an NPR article saying how, 30 villages on the northern portion of the island have been forced to evacuate. The World Health Organization has said that 16,000 to 20,000 people are affected. More than 4,000 people are occupying 89 public shelters. It's pretty bad. And I was looking into this and I thought it was very interesting because I was like, who's the prime minister of St. Vincent? And it's a gentleman named, he goes by, well, his name is Ralph Gonsalves,
right? But
he's known as Comrade Ralph. And he is, as far as I can tell, and he may have changed, but definitely has a Marxist foundation. In fact, writing a book, and I believe it was 1981, called The Non-Capitalist Path of Development, Africa and the Caribbean. Very interesting. He's written about Marxist Leninism, and so he has a very interesting background, and including his Twitter handle. He only has like 4,600 followers on Twitter.
I am now one after you have turned me on to Comrade Ralph. Yeah.
And I thought it was really interesting because he has a tweet here from 3 days ago, and it says, "Our brothers and sisters from the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela have come to our aid, sending a ship with much-needed supplies and equipment. We are eternally grateful for the generosity of Comrade Nicolas Maduro and the government and people of Venezuela." Which I just thought was interesting because, like, at the same time that the United States is trying to destabilize and destroy, the Maduro government in Venezuela, they're sending an aid ship to a country, a neighbor of theirs that is in dire fucking need of it.
Right.
I should mention, too, that before... This is a little weird thing where it's like kind of like a ghost in the machine sort of thing. But it's like I found this guy at Comrade Ralph and I looked to see if anybody else I knew followed him. One person did, Michael Brooks, who passed away last year. Our good friend and comrade Michael Brooks. And to me, I was just like, I saw that and I was sitting here after researching this guy just alone, just taking a look at it. And I was like, man, Michael Brooks was fucking one step ahead of us. Just had his ear to the ground. on international issues much better than anybody, and I'm very, very saddened that he's gone. Quite a hell of a thing. So that's that for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I'm wondering if I should tell the story. It was just a weird thing that happened earlier today. I don't know if you saw it in the DM about the baby stroller.
Oh, yeah. No,
Dude.
I was just imagining the fucking Battleship Potemkin or like the fucking, I guess they redid it in the Untouchables of like the baby stroller going down the stairs. Yeah, so tell me your story, please.
No, it was just a weird, it was like a weird like movie thing that happened to me. I had just gotten to a block to where I was going in New York City here. And I'm like looking and I see a woman with her stroller, and she's kind of like fussing with it, and it was raining today bad, so she was like fussing with it, making sure like that the little cover was on it so that her baby boy in there wouldn't get wet. And then I saw her go into her building and left the stroller on the sidewalk. And I kind of look and I'm like, where's the stroller? And I see it rolling toward the street. A very fucking busy street, I should say. And when I tell you I sprinted with all the adrenaline I had in my body, I booked it towards where I thought I saw that it was going. Unfortunately, it didn't. It didn't go into the street, and it hit a car. It hit a parked car. Mm-hmm. And I got there, and I got to this child, and he couldn't have been more than one. Like, he was nonverbal. He definitely wasn't walking. And he was just kind of looking at me with his like legs smashed into he wasn't hurt. Like, they say like kids are resilient. Like, I really kind of learned something about that today. Like, he wasn't hurt. He was just like looking at me like, I don't know what just happened, but also who are you, bro? And then the mother came out and she was just like, hey, oh my God. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh my God. What happened? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm just like, hey, no problem. Anyway, yeah, it was like out of a fucking movie. It was so crazy. Right. Very weird. Just weird all around this week, man. It was a dark. Why can't today be Friday?
It is to me. I had today off. Yeah.
Oh, you had today off too?
Yeah, no, I work.
Good for you,
Sunday through Wednesday.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to having a little adult beverage tomorrow evening. I think I can say that. You know what we should do?
What's that?
We should play a bluegrass song to close it out to piss off Shane.
Oh, we should.
I know, I'm thinking of which one.
I know. I'm trying to think of one too.
I mean, I know ones that we gotta pick one that really gets to him.
Okay.
I actually think just I think I know the one that might be good. Do you know Pig in a Pen by Ralph Stanley?
Of course I do. Yeah.
Shane would fucking hate that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I was just looking
Bake them biscuits. Good and brown.
What the hell's the one I was thinking of? It is Love, Please Come Home. Do you know that one? I think that's a flat.
Definitely.
Flats and Scruggs, right? Flat and Scruggs.
Hang on, let me just hear it for 2 seconds. Yeah, of course. Oh, this is a goodie. Oh, man.
Are you playing it in your headphones right now? Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I am. Sorry, I'm just enjoying listening to bluegrass now.
That's a Flat and Scruggs songs. Old in the Way. You've heard Old in the Way, right?
I don't think I know it off the top of my head.
That's Jerry Garcia's bluegrass band. They did Pig in a Pen as well. Okay. Yeah, he played banjo in that, and then like Vassar Clements was on fiddle, who's like the fucking greatest, in my opinion, bluegrass fiddle player. Peter Rowan also is in that.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I don't think I knew even until a couple weeks ago that Tony Rice died.
What?
He died last year. Yeah, I had no idea.
We didn't talk about. I was like, I tweeted for days about that. Didn't I not talk about that on air?
I don't think so.
I was very emotional about it.
I had no idea.
Oh my God! Well, as soon as you said it, as soon as you said Peter Rowan, I mean, he was like real good. He was real close to Tony Rice. Of course,
yeah. No, Peter. I've seen Peter Rowan a bunch of times. He's great. Last time I saw him when I was in Colorado. I was staying there. I guess 2015 was the last time I saw him. But no, he's great.
Oh man,
he's the one that. No, dude, I'm so excited, man. Because I tell you, honestly, like as soon as like when the lockdowns happened and it was like very obvious that live music wasn't going to be a thing for like a long time. Like last year, I was thinking like, because I just seen Del McCurry, like I've seen him a bunch, but I just seen him for the first time in a while, like the year before, and I was like, I even thought of him specifically. I was like, man, that's one that,
dude,
because he's up there, he's up there in age. I was like, man, that's one that I would give anything to get the chance to see again.
Yes,
and here we go. This Sunday, I'm gonna go see him.
Oh Oh, dude, I'm so jealous.
I'm pretty excited.
I'm so fucking jealous. You know what song? We have to keep all this in because this is all to spite Shane for his hatred of bluegrass and music in general. You know who I've been listening to actually a lot of Flatt and Scruggs lately, and one in particular, which is one of my favorite old gospel songs, which is "Who Will Sing for Me." And that's just one of the most beautiful songs. And they fucking Flatt and Scruggs had it, man. They really had it. What was their television program called?
Oh, I don't remember.
TV show. I think it was just, but they had like a television program. I think it was called was it the best of? Oh, it was just Flatt and Scruggs Grand Ole Opry. That's what it was. And so they had all these acts come on. That's where I learned about string bean and all this shit. It's all good, man.
Yeah, no, Del McCoury especially, like he's one of the the last links to like Bill Monroe, and like
he's 82.
Yeah, he's like one of the last links to like the original,
holy shit,
the roots of bluegrass music, at least.
Yes,
at least recorded bluegrass music.
Oh, dude, I had no idea he was 82.
Yeah, he was playing with Bill Monroe in the 50s, I think.
Yeah, I did know that. Fucking, and that's how you know, like that's that generation, and Del McCoury held on to that. Like the bluegrass boys come into town and they show up wearing, pressed suits and nice hats.
Yeah.
Del McCoury, you've never seen him in a t-shirt.
No, yeah. Well, no, the whole band, yeah. It's his band is I think two of them are his kids, and maybe three, but like, yeah, no, the whole band. They're always.
How nice must that be?
They're always dressed up in the suits.
And same thing with Tony Rice, man. You never saw him without a tie on.
Yeah.
He and his brother Wyatt. I mean, you always saw them, dressed up nice, and they took it professionally very clearly, but then you see like somebody like Sam Bush is a little different, I suppose.
I love Sam
you never
Bush.
See him.
Yeah.
Oh, Sam Bush rules, man. You always see him in a tie-dye shirt and a flannel over it. Nothing wrong with that. Just saying, it's different.
What's pretty cool though is that like, Del McCoury's kids, they have like their kind of separate act called the Traveling McCourys, and they've done a lot of collaborations with like members of the Grateful Dead and like Dark Star Orchestra and stuff. So like I've seen them a bunch of times, like In fact, a lot of times they'll be at the same festival where they'll play the one set like with their dad all dressed up in their fucking suits and ties, and then like a couple hours later you'll see them with playing mandolin and fiddle on some Grateful Dead songs in the jeans and a t-shirt. Yeah,
it's so good, man. It's so cool. Good.
Yeah,
it's good shit. Bluegrass rules.
It does, man. I would like to be. I mean, we should go to Delfest next time they do it, if they're still doing that. You ever been to Delfest? That's Del McCoury's festival. It's in Cumberland, Maryland. I went to the first two. I think it was 2008 and 2009. I went to the first two, but I haven't been to it since. They've done it like every year since, I guess, until this year and last year. It's usually.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're doing it this year.
Are they? It's usually Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, it looks like they're doing it.
Are they really?
All right, this is the Eat the Rich live show we're going to be doing in the
Dude,
the
I tell you, oh man,
dude,
the second year I went, it was a fucking. We got hit by a I guess what they call a microburst, like one step down from a tornado. Yeah, and like we were right, like where the festival is held. It's in this like it's kind of right on the river. And on the other side of the river is West Virginia, and like we had such a nasty storm, and like actually tornadoes did touch down on the West Virginia side of the river, but we got like pelted by like hail, and like my buddy Jesse, who's still a good friend of mine, we were there, and we were like trying to we had this like easy up canopy tent, and we like me and him were each like holding a leg of it, like just trying to keep it on the ground with like all we fucking could until the fire department came and told us people are getting struck by lightning, you just got to let it go.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But no, it was cool because like after that, it was like a nasty fucking like a full day of storms, like canceled all the shows. But then like after that, like a lot of people went home, right? And so like the last day of the festival, it was just like the whole fucking thing was just like a fucking. It's just, you'd be like ankle deep in mud, right, everywhere you went. But like they still had the shows that night for
I love it, man.
The people who were insane enough to stay after all that.
Del McCoury just coming right back from the dry cleaners.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
Good
this
times,
is good.
man.
Yeah,
Good
keep
times.
all of this. This is for Shane.
Of course,
specifically for
no,
Shane.
I'm quite thrilled to be going to see some live music this weekend for the first
Dude,
time in a long time.
Enjoy it.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna be sitting here watching Bill Evans live videos on YouTube, drinking alone.
well, I'll be drinking.
All right, well,
I
that's
won't
good.
be alone.
All right, let's let Shane rest from
Okay.
this.
Yeah, I gotta go pee too, really badly.
Get it out, man.
Yeah.
All right, folks.
Good night, everybody.
Be well. Stay cool.
Love you.
I got a pig at home and a pin, corn to feed him on. All I need's a pretty little girl to feed him when I'm gone. Going on a mountain to sow a little cane, red sparrow, sorghum, sweet and old Liza Jane. I got a pig at home and a pin, corn to feed him on. All I need's a pretty little girl to feed him when I'm gone. Yonder comes a gal of mine, how do you think I know? Not by the gingham gown, hanging down so low. I've got a pig at home and a pin, corn to feed him on. All I need's a pretty little girl, feed him when I'm gone. Dark clouds rising, surely sign rain. Get your brick bonnet on, little Liza Jane. I got a pig at home and a pin, corn to feed him on. All I need's a pretty little girl, feed him when I'm gone. Bake 'em biscuits, baby, bake 'em good and brown. When you get them biscuits, bake 'em Alabama bound. I got a pig at home and a pin, corn to feed him on. All I need's a pretty little girl, feed him when I'm